During a trip through time, the Legends were forced to land the Waverider in Blue Valley, Nebraska, where they discovered a young superhero.
Yes.
About to take flight.
That's cool.
Who are you?
I'm Stargirl.
Hello, Legendaires. Welcome back to Tomorrow's Legends. We're covering the first season of Stargirl, and we are on episode 11 called The Shining Knight. And I will rise again like a shining knight. In the night, I am the Flash.
And I don't need any shiny tricks to prove my worth. Harley Quinn.
And now, here are your hosts, the fleet-footed Flash and his hammer-swinging partner, Harley Quinn.
Yes, we are back. Oh boy, 2 episodes left.
2 episodes left. It is kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, like a 2-part finale. Even though things have slowed down since we did our massive catch-up, it's still going kind of fast.
It is going kind of fast, but I think we kind of knew that would happen, that once we did the crazy catch-up, it would just go by so fast.
Yeah, totally. All right, well, let's get into this episode. We got a little bit of news that we're going to start off with.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
Couple things you found, just some fun facts. What'd you find out?
I did find some fun stuff. So apparently they've been doing Instagram takeovers over on the Stargirl Instagram account, which is super cool. I didn't find out about it until this week, so I'm super late to the party. But apparently Hunter Sansone, who plays Cameron, he's the one who took over the Instagram account this week, and he did some really cool stuff. He interviewed a couple of the actors, as apparently all of the actors have been doing. They've each kind of taken a turn. And it's some really good stuff. But he actually interviewed the actor who played young Cameron. And it's a really cool interview. This little kid is like seriously amazing. He's only 8 years old. As of right now, you really should go check out the interview because it's super cool. All of their lives are on their IGTV channel, and it's at CW Stargirl on Instagram. So definitely go check out all that stuff. It's super fun.
I just found it and I just followed it. Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I was trying to catch up on some of the older ones, but each of the actors has done Instagram takeovers. I think Hunter is probably one of the last ones to do it. I think Breck has already done one. I think J.K. Walker, who plays Henry Jr., had done one. I know Megan Delancey, who plays Cindy and Shiv. She did one. I don't know if Angelica's done one, who plays Dr. Midnight, but I'm pretty sure Cameron Gelman, who plays our man, Rick, he did one. So yeah, it's really pretty cool. So
Yeah, very fun stuff. That's cool. I'll have to look a little more in and check out some of the videos. So definitely you guys go to that too. Stargirl on Instagram. And then a fun fact you kind of nerded out totally behind the scenes is where Stargirl is actually filmed.
I totally did. Y'all, I did not know this until Hunter talked about it on this Instagram Live. But did you know they filmed in Dallas, Georgia? That's like literally an hour away from me in this cute little town. Blue Valley, Nebraska is Dallas, Georgia. Like, that's so cool.
And she disappeared down the rabbit hole as soon as she found that out.
I sure did. Just do yourself a favor. Google Maps it. It's literally the town. It's so cool.
Yeah, so I coerced her to get up there in some type of Harley outfit and start taking pictures of herself at all the set locations and then share them with all of us.
Yes, I may have to take a little road trip one of these weekends. It'll be fun.
That'll be fun. Cool. Well, now moving on to, we actually got some pre-show feedback. And the reason I'm putting it in here is because our friend Erin, who some of you may know from Aero Squad days, she was always sending us in this huge, awesome emails for Aero Squad, has now caught up with Stargirl and all of our podcast episodes as well. I mean, that is dedication.
Yeah.
So she sent me a big, long email to kind of talk about the first few episodes, and then she sent in feedback for episodes 6 to 10, which is all the way up until last week's episode. And I'm just going to share some of the highlights because, again, they're like novels or emails, but they're so much fun and lots of fun stuff to really get into with her on. So what I found interesting is that she's mostly been agreeing with you, Harley.
Yes.
And thinks that you two should team up against me as villains.
Always, Aaron. I am here for that.
We so aren't friends anymore, Aaron. But a couple things she said. She said she's not too worried about the CW taking over as long as the writing team stays the same. She figures we'll just lose some of the effects budget maybe, and that's okay to her.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That's kind of where I was leaning. I was like, if the writing team stays and they stay strong, I think there's a really solid chance that it will continue on at a good pace. But we may lose some effects for sure.
One of the things she agreed with, I guess with both of us, she doesn't want Cameron to be evil, but she thinks setting him up with Courtney is a bit too obvious and would be kind of boring, kind of too cliche if Courtney and Cameron end up together. So that the one thing that she did agree with me on is Jordan. He thinks it's that he thinks he's doing the right thing by taking down companies that are doing nefarious deeds by poisoning people and whatever things like that. And the way she put it, and I put in quotes here, every villain is the hero of their own story, and that's what Jordan thinks of himself.
Yep.
Which I think is cool. I love that line. Every villain is the hero of their own story, because a lot of that, like we were saying, the greatest villains don't think they're a villain.
Exactly. Yes.
So it's perfectly put. And she also adds that if Jordan were to kill one or more of the ISA members because they kill for something other than what his ideals stand for, that would make him even more complex. And, and then beyond that, she hopes that they don't change him as the show goes on, as the CW takes over. They hope they don't change his complexity and, the type of kind of anti-hero that he is, but he still does bad things, so he's not quite an anti-hero. She's really liking the direction he's taken. And she was comparing him to, I guess there's a character on Supergirl that I don't know of, and I forget the name now. I'll have to look back at her email. But she was comparing to someone on there that she thinks is very similar to him. So very cool. She's a huge fan of Stargirl, so a lot of that I couldn't feel with her. I was just like, nope. And I know you don't watch it either, so we'll have to.
This is where we differ, Aaron. I don't watch Stargirl or Stargirl. Supergirl.
But check, I don't know if she emails our friends over at the Made of Steel podcast or not, because, they're the Supergirl fans over there. But so to continue with her notes to us, she was saying Stargirl is standing on its own because of the writing for the characters, not just the action. Mm-hmm. And that's a good point. It's a very strong character show. She agrees with you about the real name calling while out in public.
Yes. What's driving you
to stop
crazy?
it. And that Courtney, she agreed also when we were talking about the disguises. And Courtney is almost as easy to recognize as Stargirl due to her hair and everything like that as Kara is in Supergirl with nothing but eyeglasses as her disguise. And she laughed at that. Like, it is the most ridiculous disguise in all of comics is Supergirl and Superman when they're wearing the glass. It's ridiculous. But she says Stargirl is almost as easy to recognize just because of the hair and stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, so. She doesn't like the idea that Henry is evil because of genetics. She says that sets a bad precedent. He's evil because of the choices he makes, not because of who his father is. So she was talking about Henry Jr. there.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I like that. Yeah, it's more due to your choices, not where you come from. So I think that's a good thought.
Good point.
She also wasn't too happy with how Brainwave Jr. ended, how that episode ended. That really took away from the whole episode, she figured. She liked it up until that point, so she was with you on that.
Yeah.
Now, she had a nitpick about that episode, which maybe she missed this. Her nitpick was about how Stargirl and the other kids could not get through the bars while Henry Jr. was being attacked and killed. Mm-hmm. And I had an answer to that because I'm pretty sure Henry Sr. had put up some type of energy field with his mind on those bars. And I think you actually saw it real quick. There's like a quick glow of energy that kind of wrapped the bars. Mm-hmm. You just saw it real quick. Just as the kids were turning around to help, he puts up this force field. So that's what was stopping them from breaking the bars. Because she was like, why can't the staff break the bars when it could blow up a car? And why can't Wildcat's claws cut through it when it can slash up everything else? And why can't our man bend the bars when he just almost ripped the door off of Grundy's cage moments before?
Yes.
It's because Brainwave had a force field up on them. That is why.
Yes, I completely agree. That stood out to me in her feedback as well. So I wanted to make sure that we address that. So thank you for putting it in. I agree with you. I completely agree with all of her points because, yes, they should have been able to do all of those things. And the reason that they couldn't was because Brainwave had the force field up blocking between Henry and and them in the bars so that they couldn't get through.
Yes, exactly. Now, her last point about Henry Jr., she's saying that he better be dead or else you're going to be risking making death feel cheap on all of these series. And especially because we know the other CW shows do it. And if they do it on Stargirl, they're risking making this series, make death feel cheap. And I agree with her. It sucks because I didn't want Henry Jr. to die, but she is correct.
She is.
Now, the other stuff I wanted to make sure I added is that she actually, in her long email to us, she responds to a lot of our other feedbackers. So I'm going to read that because I think it's fun if we get some feedback interaction between everybody, which is kind of fun. You guys, kind of get to know each other week after week as you're all sharing your thoughts and feelings. So she's responding to Allie, and she says she was laughing at her comment, "What kind of dad are you?" when she yelled. Yeah, which was kind of funny. And then to Allie, she says, "Just go by the unknown hero Allie, as that sounds like a cool name to me."
That is.
The unknown hero. So there you go. But then she says, "I hope Yolanda and Courtney will make up fast. Cindy narking out the group in the lab was great and perfectly done."
Yes.
He didn't write it like that. I just say it that way because I'm angry. She's quoting you, Jess. That's fair.
I don't really even remember that reference, but I'm sure that it was a feedbacker.
Yeah.
It just makes me laugh. I think it's fantastic.
And then she says, Dreamweaver talking about how Courtney is more than the staff. Yes, I agree with this so much. And again, I hope we see this playing out on screen. Doesn't have to be a whole 5-minute thing. It can be a minute this episode and then another minute a few episodes later, just to show her processing. But yes, I'm of course Team Starman is not Courtney's dad. So that's in response to the Dreamweaver.
Dun, dun, dun.
And she goes, honestly, I can go back and forth on wanting Courtney to open that gift each time she picks it up because on the one hand, I want to know what's in that box and maybe we'll see it finally opened when Sam shows up. But on the other hand, once it's open, then that's it. So I'm kind of fine with the slow play out as well. Not sure who she's responding to here. Theory on Jordan saying when versus where, seeing the staff again.
That was you.
Icicle believes and may know for a fact he killed Starman at least a decade ago, so him asking when did you come from may just be his way of asking why is the staff still around. If it only worked for Starman, to their knowledge, how could it be here to face him? Another possibility is it's just a goof in the line, but the take was the best they had for that scene, so they ended up using it, and now we're making more of it than it was. I guess it's a possibility.
That is a possibility and hilarious. I think that was a theory you had brought up because I had completely missed it. That was the episode I could only watch once. But it was
one of our feedbackers said that.
Oh, they
One
did?
of our feedbackers had said it was a when, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember who.
I don't either. I thought it was you, actually, so that's funny. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Then she says, Barbara hit record on her phone the moment Jordan's parents came in the office. She clearly got tired of them speaking in another language and wants to know what they're saying each time they look at her. So it was a really smart play on her part.
Yes.
Again, as much as I love Yolanda, I do feel she was a bit harsh on Courtney. Yes, Courtney pushed to have Henry on the team so they could use his abilities, but Courtney never said she forgave Henry for what he did to Yolanda and never suggested Yolanda forgive him to make him feel more welcome to the unit. So Yolanda saying she picked Henry over her, I think, was harsh. I get why she said it, but I don't think Courtney really went that far.
I agree. I agree with you, Aaron. 100% felt the same way.
Responding to Lisa, she says, Lisa isn't wrong. There's a fair debate to be had over who's the worst, Icicle or Brainwave. They're both pretty equally evil, as Icicle did kill Joey, but it was to send a message, whereas Brainwave killed Henry Jr. because he just kind of wanted to, as again, he didn't even try and sway him that hard to his side. That's true.
Yeah.
You don't have to look too hard to find the robot, so yeah, Mike should easily see it if he just looks even slightly around. Heck, if you peer into those bay doors at the right time, you're definitely going to see it, so Pat either needs to get some tint on those glasses or do a better job of storing the robot. My guess is he probably hid it before he brought Mike inside, saying something like he was going to fix them some space to sleep first, but could easily be spotted if he leaves it out to kick post working on it or a mission.
I've been wondering that as well. What exactly does he do with that robot when people come to the shop?
Well, I think it's in a back door. I think when you come in the front of the garage, that's kind of like where people drop off their cars. But I think the back bay is like employees only kind of area where the robot is.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. It was hard for me to tell exactly where they were. Because at one point, especially in this episode, They're definitely in the main part, but I don't think the robot is there because when Justin wanders in.
Well, if you remember the episode when the kids show up and he's like, I've got some training for you. He takes them through double doors and that's where all the dummies were set up. That's where the robot is. It's in that back room, which I think is staff only.
Gotcha.
Because it's also like where he's got the little loft with the couches and the TV. I think that's staff quarters kind of thing or whatever, hanging out area.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, awesome. Erin, glad to have you on board with us for Stargirl. You got 2 more episodes to try to get feedback in on time. She was making a joke, I think, as well, that she's hopefully caught up now and she can get feedback in.
Yes, that would be awesome.
For regular time. That would be cool. Let's get into our impressions. Let you kick it off. What did you think of this? This episode was... Well, I'll let you say what it was because I got some thoughts too.
All right, I'll go ahead and start. I'll keep mine short and sweet. I gave this 8.5 deadbeat dads. Oh man, this was a super emotional episode. It really episode. I can't speak tonight. It's going to be a great podcast, y'all. This one, it kind of got to me on several levels, but I think we kind of all knew at some point that we needed to someone had to give like your classic superhero pep talk. I mean, because they have to believe like in themselves and their mission in order to keep going and to survive. And we get this like once a week on The Flash. But for us, I feel like this was the first time that someone really had to like talk Courtney up and get her to believe in herself, because everything that happens this episode really shakes her like to her core, and it makes her completely question her identity, and especially her identity as Stargirl. So I thought it was really fantastic. And honestly, for what should have been like a super cheesy moment, was surprisingly touching and incredibly well done. So kudos to the actors this episode. They were phenomenal.
Well, to piggyback right on your last comment there, that's what my rating is. It's 8 performances that should turn hits.
Yes.
Because everybody did such a good job. This was one heck of a roller coaster of emotional heartstrings being yanked on type of episode. I mean, geez, and this is what I want to say. This is what makes Stargirl stand out above all other DC shows. On any of the other ones, an episode like this, like you were mentioning, could be too cheesy. An episode like this on Flash or Arrow or whatever would crash and burn and be one of the most hated episodes amongst the season of great episodes. It was too slow, it was too much melodrama, and all the talking with absolutely no action. Really, step outside of this episode, that's what it was. It was slow, melodrama, a lot of talking, no action. And yet, somehow, Stargirl drives its points home right to the heart, and you feel every beat. These actors have really outdone themselves for a season 1. It's crazy. This is season 1. This usually takes 3 or 4 seasons before they develop this much depth and nuances in their performances for these characters. It's truly impressive. Mm-hmm. My biggest complaint, and then this is why I'm only giving an 8. This is my biggest complaint, is that they titled this episode The Shining Knight, and it wasn't even centered on him. I was expecting a lot more reveals with him and a lot more story progression. Not just him calling for help and being, well, helpless. And that's what knocks this episode down for me, because I wanted so much more Shining Knight. I wanted them to help him, maybe have him remember a lot more. Maybe I'll see some flashbacks to, where he came from. Some talk about the time discrepancies, all of that. We got nothing, just him crying for help. I mean, still wonderful scenes, him and Pat coming to his rescue. I loved all of it, but I just... don't call it Shining Knight when the episode isn't even really about him.
I guess I understand your point, yes, and where you're coming from. There is not a lot going on this episode. Like, it's weird because of the way that it was all cut, and it was very, very good. But really, we only kind of have like 3, like truly maybe 4, like main talking points. And so this episode, we're not going to go chronologically at all. We're going to split it up into the key sections. And so it's may feel like we're jumping around a bit, but we're going to, kind of focus on each of like the key things that happened. So
such is the bane of our existence when Harley gets to create all the notes. I'm just susceptible to her whims.
I know. Yeah. I'm sorry. We're not one of these podcasts that has like a super strict notes format. I kind of keep it a little loose. I like to see if it makes more sense to go chronological or if there's like themes throughout the episode. Because if there's true themes, I like to hit on the themes or the plot points. Like sometimes there's a very clear ABC plot. I wouldn't say this was clear ABC plots, but there were very clear character moments. And so those are the things I want to focus on.
And it's all good. I'm just razzing you. I like that our show is malleable on the fly. It's good. It makes us stand out.
Yeah, sure. Unorganized, tomato.
I like to choose better descriptive words.
And that's why you're the hero. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, let's. What's going to be your first main draw that this episode had? And I'm guessing it's going to be Shining Knight.
Well, it was called The Shining Knight, so I figured it's called The Shining Knight. We open our scenes with The Shining Knight. Let's just go ahead and jump in and kind of talk about all of his stuff.
Okay.
So one of the first scenes that we see is Justin he's lost. I mean, he's completely lost. He's out of time. And not only is he out of time, he doesn't have his memory. And he's trying to find his horse, which is kind of like really sad. He can't remember who he is. He, I think, feels very lost without having his horse. I feel like his horse kind of grounds him. And it definitely, you get the sense that his brain has now been scrambled. And believe me, this point comes back because we're going to touch on this a lot this episode. But what was your first initial impressions with these scenes?
Just the poor guy. I mean, you really feel for him. He's so lost and just so badly wants to remember. He's trying so hard to remember, and he's so upset that he can't. And he knows he should remember, and he knows that he's someone important. He used to be important, and he used to feel part of something, and he knows there's something he needs to be doing. And it's just, it broke my heart to see him struggling with that he so badly wants to remember because he thinks he's there for a reason, for a very, what's a good word? Like I guess for him, it'd be like being on a quest. He still has a quest to complete.
Yes.
And it just hurt. His performance again, I think every single actor of this episode, and we'll probably talk about it a couple times too, but his performance just broke your heart because he just hurts. He wants to remember. It's not like most shows or most people where they have memory loss or whatever the scientific word is for that, amnesia. He remembers some things and he knows he should remember and he's trying to remember. He's working on remembering and he just can't. And that's where the difference is here, which leads into your idea that his brain has been scrambled. It's like there's a block in there and he can't get past the block. He can't remove whatever barriers are up for his memory to work, but he knows he should be able to, and that's why he's struggling so hard. This isn't an amnesia type of situation we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and so we're gonna continue to unpack this a little bit. So it kind of all starts with the staff a few episodes ago. He sees Stargirl's staff, and it sort of jogged something in his memory. I feel like it sort of made him remember some of who he is. And then he very clearly recognized Stripesy. So I think like Starman and Stripesy are kind of going to be, and the staff are going to be like his cornerstones. That's going to be kind of the key to unlocking his memory in my mind.
Well, I think because that's who he sees right now. Like he saw the staff and he saw Stripesy, so that's jogging parts of his memory. I'm sure if other members of the team, his team showed up, they would also jog his memory. It's just Stripesy and the staff are what's in front of him right now.
True.
That's giving him reminders. And yeah, I guess what the staff, seeing the staff had helped him. And he did he grab it at all? I can't remember. That was the mop that he thought was the staff.
Yeah, I don't think he ever touched it.
Yeah. By the staff itself, it's an iconic thing for him, and I think just where else in your lifetime are you going to see a staff like that, with that type of energy or about and stuff? So it's definitely an iconic thing for him that should jog his memory. It's like when you forget something and you don't remember until you're in that spot again or until you see that object again. That's how memory works. So that's what's doing it for him here.
Yeah, memory is very weird and very unreliable. So
yeah. Especially as we get older.
Oh gosh, especially. All right. So now this next bit I find super interesting. So this is where we're going to start to unpack a few things. So when he shows up at the garage unannounced, he kind of starts to hallucinate. Like he recognized Pat at first and he asks for help. But then he starts to hallucinate and he kind of morphs Pat, Rick, and Beth into Dr. Ito and his drones. So I'm wondering, did Dr. Ito use some like prototype of his machine and brainwave to scramble Justin's brain? And this is part of what's wrong with him.
Yeah, that's a good idea, a good theory. All I can say is maybe, because I don't know. Like Dragon King himself is also pretty old. Like Justin somehow came through time through different means, and as far as we can tell about Dragon King, he's just old because he can live a long time. So he's lived through all of these years. So maybe back then he tested something on Justin. You know, when he was first beginning his experiments, maybe he just tested something on him. Whether he used brainwave or not, I don't know. But I'm sure he was using him as a test figure, or maybe, you know, because the team was captured, maybe he wanted to screw up their brains. For some reason, they weren't killing them back then. They're just like, oh, let's just scrabble their brains. What harm can they do us once they forget who they are? Hopefully we get more answers about it.
Yeah, I definitely hope we get some more answers about it for sure. And you kind of already touched on this, but I agree with you. Like that actor is fantastic. And I'm really enjoying his performance. And especially right here in these scenes, I think it really, really stood out where he's kind of like breaking down and begging for help and just being very broken. It was great.
It was heartbreaking to watch. And I think along with his performance, I think that beard is really doing a lot of work to hiding the actor. It looks like a truly grown beard. I can't see that being a prosthetic one. And what my theory is about Justin's here is that because he's time displaced and he's come through, I think he's only a little bit older than he was back then. I don't think he is as old as this beard is making him look. So once he gets his memory back and he starts to remember and he cleans himself up, I bet you he's going to be quite the young looking shining knight still.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think the beard is making him seem older than he really is. Yeah. That and the crazy brokenness to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he looks a little bit frail. I mean, he looks like a 65-year-old janitor that looks a little frail. So I think that'll change once he starts remembering.
I think so too, for sure.
Yep.
Also, I would like to point out that I was right. I think once we were introduced to the sword, I think I did call it Excalibur, and it's Excalibur. I thought that was cool. Along with the notion that heroes can apparently come from anywhere.
Yeah, that's a great notion. It's cool because we've seen in so many stories heroes coming out of like squires that are just, you know, using a pitchfork to move hay around the stables. They end up becoming the next knight of the round table or whatever. Yeah. And we've seen these kind of stories all over the place. So I do like that idea. And I remember I countered you. I was like, no way. I don't think that's Excalibur. No way. Hey, who's this guy to have Excalibur? And this is the part that it surprised me because I just can't accept King Arthur handing the sword down to a lowly squire. It doesn't make sense. And this is because I'm such a King Arthur, you know, legendaire.
Oh, I've got some counters for you because I love it as well.
Yeah. And that just, for me, I mean, we know the sword got thrown out to the lady in the lake again. When King Arthur's story ended, the sword gets sent back to her and she catches it and takes it into the lake. And that's where it rests. That's the last we see it. That's the last I remember seeing it. That's the last we see of it in the story. So the fact that they rewrite that for this comic book story, he hands it down to this lowly squire. I don't, yes, it's cool. We can turn someone into a hero, but the purist in me about King Arthur is just going, I don't like that.
But he himself was once a lowly squire who pulled a sword from a stone.
Yeah, I mean, you have a point, but he pulled it from the stone. So the fact that he's handing it, I don't know. I guess to me, it's the point that he throws the sword to the lady in the lake, or I think it's Merlin that throws the sword to the lady in the lake and says, "I don't want anyone else to have this. That, you know, be done with the sword," and that's where it goes. So this is completely rewriting that whole history with King Arthur. That's all. That's my point.
It is. I agree. But I'm willing to go with it for the sake of Excalibur being in my superhero shows. That's amazing.
Yes. Excalibur is a pretty wicked sword. It's awesome. So, yeah. Yeah, and everybody has their own take on it too. I wish there was an authentic original version. This is what Excalibur looks like, and then everybody can use that as their template to build it, because every iteration of it looks different.
It does, yeah. And that's a hard one, because it's hard with the King Arthur legends to tell truly legends from history and to tell what was what.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that was passed down generation upon generation, and then got written into books. And I don't know, it's very difficult to tell the legend from the history. It's all gotten kind of muddled up at this point, which is part of the reason that I love it. I mean, it's a great story. But anyway, we've got a few more crazy things. So we already talked about Excalibur and how he got it from King Arthur. But here's some other crazy tidbits that he drops. He says that he's from the time of knights and dragons. And Beth even questions him, so you're from the past? What do we think about this?
Yeah, I mean, that part of the story is cool. To me, it's bringing the myths real and the stories of King Arthur to life, which this is, I'm so 50-50 on this whole Justin story, because I don't agree with the Excalibur part, but I love the fact that he's saying he's from the time of myths and dragons and all that, knights and dragons. It's so cool, because that means that stuff exists. It's real. And in the history of this earth, on this TV show, there was dragons, there was knights, there was a King Arthur, and he's from that time period. That is really cool.
I agree. That is very cool.
Now, while you were talking, there's one point I wanted to make back to the whole King Arthur idea, what is real and what isn't real. One of my favorite variations of the story is the King Arthur movie with Clive Owen. Did you ever see that one?
That is an excellent one.
That is the most realistic. If there was ever an Arthur story that would seem like it would be true, it would be that one. Because most of the King Arthur stories, Camelot and King Arthur, everything is so bright and colorful and pristine and beautiful. And
fantastic.
This is the medieval times. This is the Dark Ages. It was not like that back then. And this version of King Arthur with Clive Owen, if none of you have seen it, it was dirty, it was grungy, it was in your face, it was bloody, and it was not a good time period. And it rewrites the whole ideas, and it makes it look to me, in my mind, what I think that time period would have been like. And and they changed the stories of the characters, like Guinevere. She's a woman of the forest. She's not this beautiful, princess type of character. And all these, it's fantastic. If you have not seen King Arthur with Clive Owen, go check it out, because that to me is the truest version of the story. It
is a great version, and I'm going to throw a wrench. I will say, another fantastic series is the Camelot, however you want to say that. It's a book series by Jack White, and it's basically the King Arthur legends. Ooh. And it traces his origins back through the Roman Empire and the fall of the Roman Empire, and it is excellent.
Awesome. I'm going to look up the audiobooks for that. That sounds cool. I love those kind of stories. That's my favorite books and stories, is anything in the medieval times.
Me too.
That is cool. There's also, did you watch, there was a TV series, we're totally tangenting here.
Totally.
What's that word? Tangent. I can't even say that word.
Tangential?
Tangenting, yes. There's a TV series that was just called Arthur, and it only went for one season. Did you watch that?
I didn't see that one, but I have watched Avalon and read some of those books as well.
Okay.
That's the more traditional, fantastical version.
Yeah, for sure. There's a
mystical, I guess.
I have the box set of the show, and it's interesting because Arthur is young in this one. He looks like he's maybe 18 or something where this story takes place, and it's a little bit modernized. The very first scene, the opening 2 minutes of the entire series is King Arthur butt naked on the side of a lake getting it on with some lady. And
wow,
he's just like that. He's the young king, and he can have his way with whoever he wants because everyone wants to be with the king. and that's where this series kicks up. But it ends up being so good, like the magic and the characters and the what's going on. I was like, wow, this is a good show. And then it didn't get picked up for a second season, and I was very disappointed.
Oh, sad face. But yes, our love for King Arthur. I've read so many versions of the story.
Yeah, see, and that's why I was hoping that we would see some flashbacks as Justin is starting to remember things. I would love to have seen, a flashback as he's telling his story. Then it's a flashback with him doing a voiceover as we're seeing him young and fighting amongst the knights. I was like, oh, come on, I want to see it. And we got nothing. And I was just so disappointed.
But we may still, that could be coming in season 2. I wouldn't rule it out.
Possible.
They've laid the seeds. So we're going to see more from this. I have faith. But a few other tidbits that he lets drop. He came to Blue Valley because he was following the dragon. And seeing as he's hallucinating that Pat is the Dragon King, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he was following the Dragon King.
Wait, we're back on track now? Is that what you're saying? Okay, we're back on track.
Sorry,
okay,
we're back on track. We're talking about the story again. I brought it back. I brought it all back, y'all.
Bro, yeah, that's a good idea as well. I mean, I'm asking you if that's who you think he means. It only makes sense. The dragon. Maybe he's seen Dragon King with his hood off, and he's just his mind is all wiped. He remembers the ugly face and the screaming, and who knows? Maybe Dragon King can breathe fire. We haven't seen it yet, so that's who he's. Yeah, maybe he's seen him, and that's why he's calling him the dragon. Yeah,
I think that's an excellent point, and I like that. I like that a lot. I think for sure we're on the track that he was following the Dragon King. And another interesting, he says, all of the soldiers were scattered and gone, and then he was captured, and they stole his identity. And it sort of all stops there, which is confusing.
I know. And it's like, yes, cool. And then they don't give us anything, like anything about the time displacement. And I was so like, come on. Like, we need to learn about his time displacement. Why is he there? And everyone's starting to realize that he's out of his own time. And we got nothing in this episode at all. I'm just, all in frustrating.
Good time, Flash. All in good time.
Frustrating. Here's a wild theory from out of left field. What if Dragon King used to be a dragon back in the day, and he has now taken on humanoid form?
That would be fascinating.
Because that is a very known fact in a lot of medieval stories, is that dragons can turn into humans for disguise.
True.
So maybe he's only partially disguised. He can't get all the way. Maybe that's why he's doing all these experiments, why he's doing it, because he wants to become fully human.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I do not know what to think about him. He's another character. I want an origin story. I want all of the origin stories. I want this.
Let's just have an entire season of origin stories, or do what Star Trek Discovery is doing, where they do the short treks. During the off season, they have these little 10-minute episodes to flesh out the stories of all the side characters. Let's do little short 10-minute episodes for Stargirl, giving us background.
That's really cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Nice.
All right, Courtney's dad. This was the glaring standout part of this episode. I think they should have called this Fake Sam or whatever instead of Shining Knight.
They should have just called it Courtney's dad.
Yeah.
All right. So going back to the beginning again, because we see Justin's breakdown and then we quickly transition to Sam. I absolutely love how they intentionally don't show his face until they absolutely need to. Just in case we actually thought that Starman was still alive and that Joel McHale was about to come walking onto the scene.
So I didn't even notice that. I wasn't sure if anyone was still on that train anymore about thinking Starman was still alive. I don't know. I think they kind of dragged that idea out a little bit long, maybe. So I'm not sure how many people still felt that, but I get what you're saying. I didn't notice. I didn't pick up on that they were hiding his face for a certain length of time.
Yes, the entire time we follow him and he does his whole walk right up until he's right in front of Courtney's house. We don't actually see his face. So I thought that was kind of funny. Although what's even more funny is that if you had watched the trailer, you see him in the trailer. So they tried to do the things, and then as usual, marketing spoils, but it's cool.
Yeah, marketing spoils a lot. They're not in control of their own trailers, it seems, because
most franchises aren't.
Yeah, Survivor is plagued by that. CBS got really up, Jeff Probst and some of the producers of Survivor got really upset with CBS because in the commercials leading up to the episode, they were actually giving away what happened on the episode. Like, you know who got voted out, you know who won the challenges or whatever based on the commercials. And you're like, well, what's the point even watching the episode now? You gave away the three things you're concerned about: who gets voted off, who wins the challenges. Like, it's like, and they're not, so the TV show producers are not in control of what gets shown in the commercials. It's crazy to me.
They are not. It's a network decision. And a lot of times the network makes the wrong decision, which is why everybody says, don't watch the trailers.
Which, see, I never do. I only watch movie trailers. That's it.
Yeah, they come on so fast. I don't always hit the pause button fast enough. Anyways. All right. So a little bit more about Sam. So what was leading us to believe, or at least leading Courtney to believe, that Starman was her father, he disappears on Christmas Eve when Courtney was 5, which is the same year that Starman dies. And we find out that Barbara actually tried to find him for over a year before she finally just gave up, which is crazy. Dude just disappears off the face of the earth. Like, who does that?
Yeah, without actually having a legit reason. I at this point in the episode, I was getting a feeling that there's more to the story than what they're showing us. I wasn't sure if we're going to get more, but I think Barbara isn't saying everything either. I think there's so much more to the story, and she's not telling Courtney. She's not telling Pat. She's hiding some more. There's more to this, but now I don't know if we're even going to get it.
I don't know if we are either, but at the very least, dude is a con artist. You know what I mean? Like, at the very least. So I don't know. I think there is a more to his story. And I guess if we were super curious, we could probably look up some stuff from the comics.
Yeah, but he stuck around long enough to marry and have a kid. So that's a really long con. Why would you even get into that? Like that? Why would you con someone into having a baby and that you're not even going to be part of their lives? Like, I don't know.
I'm not sure they were married. I was under the impression that she had gotten pregnant and that I think he's a con artist. I don't think he was conning Barbara. I think, they were together. She got pregnant and he stuck around long enough. And then when Courtney, after she was 4, through whatever happened, whatever, quote, jobs he was pursuing or business opportunities or all this stuff that he alludes to, he just disappears off the face of the earth for a hot minute.
He's a get rich quick scheme type of guy. That's what he is. Yeah, for sure. So he's a little bit of a jerk. He claims he wants to get to know his daughter, but in the end, all he wants is her locket so that he can sell it. What an asshole. Mm-hmm. I love this actor, but God, this reveal, and especially at the end, I mean, he deserved Pat punching him in the face. Like, loved that scene. He definitely turned out to be a deadbeat. Thing is, I was almost buying his shtick.
I was too.
Yeah, but not fully. And then he reveals his true nature, just wants money to keep on the go, and totally emotionally abusing poor Courtney. I truly hope we don't see him again. I don't know anything about this actor, but I hope it never comes back. It was a one and done. She's hurt. She's got to move on. She's got to, it changed a lot for her. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that this was a turning point for Courtney's story. We won't have to see her pining over that Christmas gift anymore. We won't have to see any of that. It's done. And I agree with you. That punch was so awesome and so deserved. I mean, I didn't know Luke Wilson could throw a right hook like that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it looked really good. It was good choreography and good shooting for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But the actor who played Courtney's dad is Jeff Stoltz. He's relatively well known. If you haven't seen him on stuff, he's been on like a lot of things, or he's just on for like a few episodes. Okay. The thing that I remember him the most from is he was on like I Loved Bones. He was on a Bones spinoff called The Finder. Right. It only got 1 season, but it was actually really good. I was kind of sad when it was canceled, but he starred in that, and he's done like a ton of other stuff. But he does tend to appear for like one episode where he's like a bad guy on like kind of like a CSI type of show. Like he'll do stuff like that a lot as well. So I thought it was really good casting because him and Joel McHale actually do kind of look a little similar. Like Jeff Stoltz, he's a much bigger guy. He's much taller, and he kind of has like a longer, more like rectangular face, like a square jaw than Joel McHale. But what I thought was really funny, And a fun fact, the actual picture in the locket was indeed Joel McHale and not Jeff Stoltz. So I wasn't totally nuts when I was pointing to the picture in locket and going, that's totally Joel McHale. Like, Starman is totally her father, like back in the first couple of episodes. So I felt a little bit vindicated. That's also why it's funny when he's like, oh yeah, that wasn't a great picture. It's because it's not him.
It's not him. It's just, I just want to say that's just dumb. Like, why couldn't you put a picture of Jeff Stoltz in there since he is the one who gave her the locket? I don't get that. Why would you not have it be him, his picture? Then
we would have known.
Yeah, but we didn't know that he wasn't Starman. We wouldn't know anything. Like, it's.
Yeah, we would. They showed Starman was clearly Joel McHale, and he's a very famous actor.
Yeah.
People aside from you actually know who he is.
Yeah. Okay. Still strange, but
I thought it was kind of funny and a little brilliant, but it was a good MacGuffin.
Well, to me, it's like they didn't have Jeff Stoltz hired on yet until this episode, so they didn't have him to take a picture of to put in the locket. It was Joel McHale from the beginning, and they got to this episode.
Also distinctly possible.
Yeah, I was like, we got a new actor to play Sam. So
still, I thought it was really good casting. So they do actually look a bit similar.
Yeah, no, he did a good job. He almost had me buying into it. So
yeah,
and now I want to slap him.
I know. Well, should we roll into Courtney's identity crisis because it's very closely linked with her father?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. So indeed, as many people have theorized, she is not Starman's daughter. And the staff chose her because of what it saw in her, not because of her genetics.
Yeah. And I actually think it was becoming apparent after a few episodes that she's not Starman's daughter. I think the realization was slowly coming true because they dragged it on too long and there was no evidence. There was nothing that was pointing to it being true. It was just her believing it. Yeah. And yet nobody was backing her up on it. She wasn't finding out any information or anything to support it. So I was like, he's probably not.
Yeah.
It just wasn't jiving with what everyone was saying and everything as well. So, but yeah, I mean, these tools, like you were saying with the staff chose her, all of these tools, all these items that we've had, these gadgets, they're not affected by a genetic code or anything. It's all about being worthy to carry the mantles of the heroes before them. So each piece is deciding who's next, whether it's the goggles, the staff, the hourglass, whatever. So even though Rick here is genetically connected to it and the hourglass does work for him, I still think the hourglass thinks he's the worthy successor to be the hero. And I'm kind of mixed on that because yes, his dad did make it, so maybe his dad bestowed upon it that it should be passed him next. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on that, but Rick, just get a grip on things. I mean, whether your dad passed it down to you or you were chosen, it's time he gets a grip. I'm getting a little bit frustrated with his antics, his losing his anger and stuff. So get a grip, buddy.
I agree with you that Rick needs to get a grip. I do think they did at one point specifically state that the hourglass was tied to Hourman's genetic code.
Okay, so one out of...
literally will only work for Rick, but his is the only one. All the others have chosen different people. So Rick is literally the only one that had to be a legacy. Literally.
Now, the one question mark here, though, is the goggles. I have a feeling the goggles may have worked for anybody. It just happens to be that Beth is a science, nerdy, geek kind of person that the presence inside the goggles was able to relate to and connect with. So he's going to obviously work with her and help her learn the stuff. I have a feeling they would have worked for anybody who put them on.
They may have.
And communicate with them. Oh, hey, who are you? Like, oh, I can do this and this and this. And it's just him and Beth happen to have a good connection because they're both science geeks. So,
yeah, I'm with you there. I'm going with you there for sure. Now, this next bit I found to be super interesting. So the staff actually stops responding to her, and it's mostly because she's lost her confidence. She's doubting herself. She's doubting her mission. But I don't know. That was just a really interesting scene to me that the staff needed her to, I guess, believe in herself and believe in the mission. Because I thought it would be looking at things beyond that than her just having like confidence in the fact that she could do this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was wondering what was going on there too, because, why is it not working? And of course, all of us thought the staff made a mistake thinking she was Starman's daughter. And we all thought that's why it's not working for her, because now she's not. And the staff was wrong somehow. They definitely led us on with that idea. And and then as the episode goes on, it turns out to be she just needs to believe in herself.
Yeah, I know. It was odd that I guess it chose that moment to like stop responding. But maybe that was just its way of saying, hey, you need some more confidence in what you're doing before I feel safe, like taking you back out there kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
I could go with that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, then finally, we're going to get to the final scene with her and the staff and with Justin. And he says, our queen has risen. Whew, that was a scene. I loved it. There were literally no words until he says that, and it was probably one of the most powerful scenes of the entire episode.
It was very powerful, a very powerful moment indeed, and not cheesy at all. It was uplifting, it was emotional, and it was full of heart. And it was so beautifully shot and beautifully directed. That little touch with the wind in their hair as the energy was flowing through the room, and you could see their hair moving in the wind, and then the music slowly building up. And it was so breathtaking, just as it's been all season, but such great music selection all the time. And that just built and built and built. And like you said, no words at all. And the way the camera was moving around the room and everything, it was so beautifully put together. Fantastic scene.
It was a great scene. I loved it. All right. Is there anything else you want to touch on because the last little bit I have here is, of course, the ISA and all those scenes we haven't touched on yet.
Yeah. I want to touch the staff, see if I'm worthy.
I know, right? Well, I'm a villain, so I guess I definitely wouldn't be. But
you wouldn't be. Well, maybe the lantern. Maybe I could use the lantern. I don't know.
I don't know. I need to apparently head over to the American Dream headquarters and let them know I'm a villain.
Yeah, let's talk about the ISA now. Why not?
All right, let's jump in here. So, Brainwave remembers who Courtney and Pat really are. And he tells Jordan, and I'm not going to lie, dude looked pretty shaken by that revelation.
I was surprised Brainwave remembered, and then I thought, uh-oh. And then, Jordan looked surprised himself, and then disappointed and almost hurt by the reveal of this knowledge.
Right?
Yeah, because, and we know he likes Barbara. Whether he was thinking to try to swoop in and win her over from Pat, I don't know. But I think he just liked her. He felt like he could open up to her and just share things with her, which he hasn't had since his wife, obviously. Yes. So I think he just really liked Barbara, and I think that it hurt him to find out this reveal for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going there. I definitely think he has some sort of feeling for Barbara. Whether or not it's romantic, I don't really know. But for a minute, they had me thinking, like, would he really turn on the ISA to protect Barbara and her family? Like, he looked genuinely conflicted to me. I really wasn't sure what he was going to do here.
Yeah, at this moment, that was definitely the hurt. He doesn't want that at all. He did have a connection with her. And that may come back at a turning point, either with him changing sides, which I think is doubtful. But maybe it's when the good guys want to kill him. Maybe Barbara steps in to rescue him. And not so much rescue him like she's going to go against the good guys, but to save his life. Like, no. There's some good in him. I know it. Let's not kill him. I think that's what might come into play, I think. I don't know.
I definitely think there's more to come between the two of them. I'm not necessarily saying that like Barbara's going to like leave Pat or anything, but I definitely think there's more to this relationship. Maybe not necessarily romantically, but I'm interested to see where it goes. So
yes.
Now another interesting revelation. Brainwave says he's stronger after Henry's death. I'm honestly not even sure how that makes sense, but apparently now Brainwave has absorbed his son's power and can reach half of the country instead of just 6 states.
I don't know what that means. I didn't get the feeling that he absorbed anything. I don't know. Why would he absorb his son's power energy? I mean, that seems completely out of left field, a completely new theory or take on his powers. I have no idea, because if that's the case, can he go absorb other people's powers? I don't know. I'm more wondering, is he just regaining his strength and getting his full power back? Because he was in a coma and he was slowly remembering things, and we've seen him struggling with his memory. So maybe he just now fully, with killing his son, maybe that fully woke him up and unlocked all the blocks in his own head, and he's back to his full power now. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. It was such an odd bit thrown in. And then the next point after that, or my next thought was, does this actually confirm that Junior is for sure dead? Because I was saying, I don't think he is. But does this fully confirm that he is?
Yeah, I kind of think after the whole memorial scene and everybody talking about his death, I definitely think he's... I mean, I was pretty sure he was dead last week. Now I'm really sure that he's dead. Which sucks. I like that actor and what he's doing with the character, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, everybody did. And we could cheat the system. We could go into IMDb and look up the actor who plays Henry Jr. and see how many episodes he's in. But that would give away a lot, and that ruins the story. That's like watching trailers. That's like watching previews. That would give stuff away. And I hate spoilers. I don't want the spoilers, so I'm avoiding looking up that type of info.
Yeah, but if he was cast as a regular, they're going to give him a credit on every single episode, regardless of whether or not he actually appears.
Yeah, but I'm saying IMDb will tell you how many episodes each actor is in. So that would, if all of a sudden it shows up that he's in 12 episodes, well, wait a second, we've only seen 10 so far, so that means he's coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I'm fairly certain he's dead, so
yeah.
We'll see. And
I don't want to know if he's not, or like, I don't want to know if he's going to come back. It'll be a big surprise, and that's where I want to leave it.
True. All right. So, Jordan gets the gambler over here to unlock Barbara's computer so he can go snooping and see what she knows.
I was super creepy. I was so worried for Barbara right at that moment. I was like, oh no.
Right? I mean, we all know, well, we have an idea of what he's going to find. And so apparently the article on her computer is that Starman was killed by Icicle, I guess, is enough to convince him that she and her entire family need to die. That seemed like a little bit of a stretch. Like, did it not? Although I guess if he knows that her daughter is Stargirl, he's probably assuming she's in on it, even though she literally just found out.
That is crazy to me. He's willing to kill all of them. And what I think is leading to that is that he's jealous and he's so upset with the news about Barbara that right at this moment, he's letting emotion get to him a little bit. He's making emotional decisions, not the usual Icicle cool as ice kind of decisions.
Yeah, there's definitely emotion when it comes to Barbara, which is super fascinating.
Yeah, right. But I was scared when he started unlocking her computer. I was like, oh man, what's going to happen to him when he finds out what she was looking at? Yeah.
I know, right?
And that was the tipping point. That's what led him to like, yeah, you know what? Let's kill them all.
Yes, because that's in the final scene where he's like, yeah, and let's, go ahead, go kill everybody. And you know what? While you're at it, why don't you go ahead and kill Mike? Because we can't leave a legacy running around. So, man, I was like, ooh, that is cold. But I thought the legacy, because there's been a lot of chatter about this. I'm pretty sure, at least I was chatting with a few people about it. I think it was just a simple reference to the fact that he's Pat's son and Pat was Stripesy. So like Mike is like a legacy in that sense, not that necessarily that like he's a meta, but I've been saying from the beginning that I think he's going to get the pink pen, which is in Courtney's room. I still think he's going to get it. That's my theory for what happens to Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I saw everybody freaking out about that. Oh, legacy, that means he's going to be here. I don't think it meant anything when Jordan said that. I think he's just saying that we don't want any of their kids picking up the mantle to continue the fight against them. That, to me, that's what legacy means.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're going to get superpowers. It doesn't mean you're a hero. It just means that we kill their parents while the kids are naturally going to want to take up the mantle and continue the fight. That's what legacy is. So, I agree with you on your theory that Mike possibly is going to get the pen, but I don't want them to. To me, I think that's going to be a bit silly to have such a young hero on the team. And to me, it'll dumb down the show because now it'll make the show a lot more juvenile because now we've got a kid. Like, how old is Mike? What is he, 12, 13?
Supposed to be either 12 or 13. I can't remember.
Yeah, so now you got a 12-year-old superhero running around, and that now the show is more juvenile. Now you have to have a much younger take on things, and I don't want that. I'm not looking forward to that. And although they've killed kids on the show, so maybe he gets hurt. I don't know. I really don't want him to be any part of the superhero team at all. He's too young.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to see what happens.
We will. All right. That was some good discussion, I think. We really got into a lot of stuff about a very somber episode.
We sure did. Yes, there was a lot to unpack.
All right. Well, let's get into our favorite scenes, what we found about this episode that we liked so much.
Yeah.
Shape out an eagle!
All right. Well, let's do this chronologically because, you know, we were all over the place, but I think our favorite scenes kind of come in order of the episode, which makes a little bit more sense to play them in that order.
Yes, they do. And they follow a theme.
They pretty much do, which is funny because I think this is where the emotion was. And the first one for me, and this calls back to you saying how good of an actor this guy was. I'm going back to the scene where Justin goes to Pat for help at the garage and is struggling with his visions. It's just when he falls to his knees and says, "Please help me." It broke my heart. And I want to play just a little bit of that scene. So here it is.
It's me.
Be careful, Mr. Dugan!
Let me take him. Right? It's your old friend, Pat Dugan. Stripesy. Okay? Stripesy. Okay. It's all right. I need your help. Not well. It's all right. You've destroyed everything that I was.
Who is he?
One of the strongest, bravest men I've ever known. Right? It's okay. We're gonna take care of you, okay?
Man, that made my eyes water again.
It is a very good scene.
It's just him like, I need help. They took everything from me and everything that I was. His performance, it breaks my heart.
Yes, it
Jeez.
does. It really does.
Flash is sniffling here. That was, powerful stuff. All right. How about you, Harley? What do you got?
All right. Well, not surprisingly, I think I have picked Justin's Excalibur speech when he reveals he's from the time of knights and dragons.
Here it is.
I know you remember who I am. Do you remember who you are? I'm trying so hard to.
Pat, are you sure about this? He almost killed you with that sword.
Excalibur.
Yeah, right. That's Excalibur.
Yeah, Justin. Remember where you got the sword, okay? Tell me the story, okay? It's a great story. I want to hear it again. I was but a lowly yet loyal page, cleaning the horses' stables. Yet King Arthur himself bestowed to me his sword upon his deathbed. He told me heroes can come from anywhere.
Wait, are you like from the past?
From the time of knights and dragons.
Pat, do you seriously believe that?
Yeah, I actually do. Here, take that.
Rick, you're such an ass.
He is. I know. I'm hoping his character gains a little bit of maturity.
But yeah, it just, again, with that scene, the music, it comes in and it's this nice old time sounding medieval music to highlight his story. And, you know, you could see a glint in his eye as he remembers, yes, the time of Knights and Dragons. Oh, yeah.
It was good.
I want more of Justin.
I know, I do too.
Now, I'm throwing in a bonus scene here because it's a tough one to play on a podcast, but I want to throw in the scene with Courtney gaining her confidence back and the staff awakens to it. That finishes with what you said with Justin when he says, our queen has risen. There's no speaking in this, but it's the buildup of the music. And if you listen closely, you can hear the wind blowing and just the buildup of the music in the moment to top it off with Justin saying, our queen has risen. It's such a great scene, and the music, I want to play it here on the show because it was so wonderful. So I'm going to play it. Here it is.
All right.
The staff chose me because it thought I was someone else.
The staff didn't choose you because of who your father is or isn't.
It knows all of my mistakes.
No.
It knows my dad isn't Starman.
I don't know a lot about the staff. It's always known more than I did about almost everything. But it always knew that your dad wasn't Starman, Court. It chose you because it believed in you. It's just waiting for you to believe in yourself again, that's all. Heroes can come from anywhere. I'm gonna give you some time, okay? To think about that. I'll just be outside the door.
What's going on?
It's not working. I need you with me. Both of you. Queen has risen.
Oh man, that just gives you chills, eh?
It does. It was good. I mean, like I said, no words, but it was very, very powerful.
Well, correction. I totally forgot I edited in the whole speech from Pat, which I was also my favorite scene. It was so good what he said to her.
It was.
And then, and then she goes up and gets them both to come down. I forgot I made that one whole complete edit. So it was good. And the music just builds so slowly, and you could just feel the energy, like the hair on my arms are starting to tingle, and everything was coming up and rising, and definitely the queen is rising, and you felt that moment. It's just beautiful.
You did, yeah.
So well done, so well done. All right, I'm really curious about what our feedbackers had to say. Let's get into feedback.
Feedback.
Twin powers, activate!
Now, there's one thing I want to let all you feedbackers know. When we put our feedback together on the show here, I'm the one who does it because I access the email and get it on here. I list all the feedback in the order that I receive them in. So you guys can all actually now know who's first and who's last. So now knowing that, maybe you guys can have a little feedback competition amongst yourselves, because you know that I am putting them in order that I receive them, and you'll be able to kind of jostle for position if you want. Anyway, just a fun thing I'd throw in there.
That's pretty
so
funny.
Leading the pack for the last few weeks in a row is X-Force 11.
Hello, legends, and welcome to the Golden Age with Stargirl Episode 11, Shining Knight. And this was a powerful episode comparing the hero's journey of Stargirl and Shining Knight. And I must say that both Breck and Mark did an amazing job with their roles and just playing the gravitas of losing hope and losing their ways and slowly having it come back. It was just a very powerful episode. Also very powerful with the other actors and actresses. I mean, this was an all-around well-acted and powerful episode. I just loved it. I love the whole quote that heroes can come from anywhere. And that really sums up this new Justice Society. We've got some legacies, but mostly it is people picking up the mantles and carrying on. And that's what we see in the Justice Society and in the heroes' journeys, that people can look up to these heroes and walk in their ways and then become totally new heroes in their own rights. And so I think it was really powerful to put this episode here before the two-part finale as a touchstone and just a look into the depth and to look at what really makes heroes, what really makes families. And I just loved it. And I'm so glad. For me, it was well placed this week and a real encouragement to me. So I'm really thankful for it and looking forward to the two-part season finale starting next week. All right, those are my thoughts. X-Force 11 is out.
Yeah, so are we looking forward to the finale. No, he really touched on the exact same feelings that we were talking about passing on the mantles, or I should say picking up the mantles of the heroes. And he really highlights it well about a hero can come from anywhere. And I agree with him on what he had to say about that. And it's this show, the way they're timing everything is so well done. And like you said, this episode right before the finale kind of sets you up for that. Instead of this coming at the end as the final moments or something of the finale, this sets us up for the finale, that heroes can come from anywhere, and now we're going to get to see them all step up to the plate, so to speak.
Yes, I completely agree. I thought that was a very excellent point, and as usual, very well stated.
Yeah. Now, coming in second place this week. That's like we're handing out medals or something.
I know.
Usually Patty Spivot is bringing up the rear, but she got in there this time to be second on the spot. Here's Patty Spivot.
Hey, Flash and Harley, it is Patty Spivot calling in. Holy, we went from this crazy, intense, epic Brainwave Junior episode to this completely switch gears, totally emotional next episode. Some parts I thought were a little cheesy here and there, and they could have I expected that they would do a little bit more with how the team was dealing with the death of Henry Jr. They did their little lunch thing, but I thought they'd focus a lot more on that. But they really just sort of, this happened, away we go with the next parts of the story. So I thought that was interesting. I wonder why Icicle is the leader of the ISA. Doesn't Brainwave seem way more powerful and way more kind of important to the plan? I just wonder if there's going to be a bit of a power struggle between those two coming up. I'm curious to see how they do that, or if they just leave it alone. I really felt for Justin. Oh my gosh, he was in so much pain and he was just feeling so hopeless and overwhelmed, and I just felt for him. I think the actor did a really good job of showing kind of his internal struggle, and he's just absolutely at odds with himself and can't remember and wants to, and he knows there's so much more going on. I loved his backstory. I thought it was really beautifully done how they have Justin he was a humble, regular guy, and he got this sword and just earned his place as a hero, and obviously has this huge heroic past that Stripesy knows about. There's got to be more to it, though. I really want to know how he got here. But the way they showed him versus the way they showed Courtney's dad, of like this just tread that just only cares about himself and, shows up pretending to care about Courtney and, turns out to just want to get something from her so he can make a buck and go on about his life. And I'm so glad she saw through him. But I just really liked the way they did the stories of the two characters. They're so completely opposite. And I thought that was pretty neat. My theory about Justin, I think he was captured by Dr. Ito at some point, and maybe they experimented on him and did some brainwave stuff to him, and that's why he can't remember anything, and then somehow he escaped and just sort of is floating through life trying to, get by with what they've done to his mind. That's what I think happened. So I'm really hoping they show us a little bit more about what went on. And I hope the staff can help Justin now that it's sort of awake again, and obviously extra glowy now that Courtney has, gone through her struggle of the guilt and what's her purpose and what's her identity, and she's found that in herself now, and obviously the staff is, got some extra power because she's got some extra power. I think that's really cool how they did that. So hopefully they can help Justin remember his past as well and what happened to him. I'm going to say it again. Luke Wilson is awesome in this show. He's just such a regular, relatable person. And he started as sort of this bungling, sidekick in the past is kind of how they portrayed him with Starman. And now he's this really strong, sort of leader, helping the kids, putting the history together. He brought Justin to his home and he's trying to help him. Like, he's just such a good person. And I think he really sort of evolved a bit into more of a father figure too for Courtney this episode. I think it was really nice how they showed that. I think he needs to pay a little bit more attention to poor little Mike, who's just completely in the dark about everything going on. But I really like how they have been doing all that. And, he punched out the dad, and he's sort of, I think, finding his own internal power too, maybe a little bit more, which I think is really, really nice to see. And I really like how they're, I hope he becomes heroic, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because he was just this sidekick character, but now he has this opportunity. He's got the robot thing and he's, helping the kids. And I just think maybe it'll be a good sort of stepstone for him to become a hero too. And speaking of heroes, Barbara, oh my gosh, she's like this little secret hero. I think she's like in super danger and she's terrified for her family and she knows her daughter can get killed. And she sees that there's this huge, danger in the world, and she wants to help her town and she wants to help the world, and she wants, You know, it's just cool. She wants to stay and help, even though it could cost her everything. And I just love that sort of mama bear thing in Barbara. So I think I'm really, really looking forward to the next couple episodes, you guys. I just, I don't know. I really think it's going to explode. I don't know. We've got some characters we haven't seen in a while. Cameron and Cindy. And it's going to be awesome. Anyways, that's me. Looking forward to the next week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Well, there we go. It is Patty Spivot, not Lisa. I was about to call her Lisa this time, and she switched it.
She remembered her identity.
Yeah. So she's with you on a lot of her feelings.
She is.
Theories.
Yes. She will probably be yelling at the podcast going, no.
Now, a couple of things that I wanted to bring up she mentioned about, which we didn't really touch on, is how they dealt with Henry Jr.'s death this episode. And I do have to agree, they didn't really touch on it. They kind of washed over it really quickly, which is a little bit of a letdown because he was developing to be quite a big character. And he was for most of the season. And it just brushed over him with just a few moments, really. I mean, they had that little school meeting where Henry Sr. gets up there and says his fake speech, but there really wasn't a lot that they did with him. And so.
Yeah, true. That is true. I agreed with that.
Her question, her idea about Icicle, why is Icicle the leader and not Brainwave? And this calls back to the question I had posed, is who's more powerful between the two? And to answer her idea, I think for me, why Icicle is the leader is because he's the one that's calm and collected and can have a handle on things. From what Brainwave is showing us, he can't contain himself. He lets loose sometimes, whether it's based on emotion or based on rage or whatever. I don't know. I think he can't control himself, and that's probably not a good leader instinct to have, or a good leader, aspect to have. So I think that's why Icicle leads, because he can keep everybody in check for the most part. So we'll see. What do you think?
No, that's what I thought too. I thought that he's a leader because he's more calm, cool, and collected. And he maybe even has a bit of restraint, whereas Brainwave does not. He's like, you're in my way, you're dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know how leaders were, quote, chosen, but I agree with you. It makes sense to me of why Jordan is the leader, just because of more of his temperament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to touch on is her reflections on Pat, played by Luke Wilson. I agree with how she worded it. He is very relatable for us, the viewers. And that's a really good point to touch on, because he isn't anything special. He's a character that you can put yourself in his situation. He's a dad. He's a stepdad. He's starting a new relationship with a new lady. They moved to a new town. There's so many things that we can relate to from real life here. And he's just so down to earth and, wants to protect his family, wants to help out. He's a nice guy. I mean, there's so many qualities about him that you can grab onto and just be like, man, this guy, I like this guy.
Yes, I know. I like Luke Wilson a lot, and he's doing a great job with this role as well, which is not surprising.
Yeah, exactly. So awesome feedback, Patty Spiv. Thank you for that. Next up is Comic Geek Kev.
I guess it's called Shining Knight because we finally get formally introduced to Sir Justin, but alas, good night. We barely got to know ye, but I'm sure that will change.
I'm not the only one.
I know. I'm guessing we aren't going to see his flying horse much, and I hope they don't do the whole bullet head armor. But the young team is certainly going to need all the help they can get. Plus, it might be good to have a sword wielder if the Dragon King is going to be brandishing a sword of his own. I'm assuming when he said he was following the dragon, that was the Dragon King, and Brainwave did something to him, although now he's still alive when the rest of the JSA and presumably the 7 soldiers are gone.
That's that time displacement, so we still need answers to that. They've obviously touched on it. We still need answers to that.
For sure.
Yeah, and I like his idea of Justin being the one that's going to face down Dragon King, because that's Justin's quest. He was after the Dragon King. This is the quest he couldn't complete. So I think for him to be the one to face Dragon King one-on-one in a sword fight is probably the best way that this story could go.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Mike has come off as a bit of a little putz thus far, but I did feel kind of bad for him this week. I'm not sure what the plan is for him, but I hope he doesn't end up releasing the genie in the pen. That's totally my theory.
Little putz is the most hilarious thing to call an annoying kid.
That is pretty funny. In fact, enough characters this season. I think Mike has to find out what's going on, but 2 superheroes in the family is enough. But what's this legacy stuff? Mike appears to be the child of someone. Either his mother was a hero or Pat isn't his father. I thought it was in reference to Pat, personally, but that was just me.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I was saying about legacy, it's just me. Like, as far as Jordan knows, that's the kid. That's Pat and Barbara's kid, whatever. They don't want to be taking up the mantle. That's it.
All right, Sam proved himself to be a complete D-bag, wondering if we've seen the last of him, since there is a character by that name in the comics. But that might not mean anything. Nice to see Pat get his shot in. I really didn't doubt for a second that Courtney was going to hug him when he offered up himself as a target for her feelings about Sam. That's true.
Yeah.
That was another great scene.
That was, yeah.
I almost picked that one for my favorite. Almost. All the performances were great, but Breck Basinger did a great job with Courtney. Maybe it was just me, but there seemed to be a subtle change on her face when she walked in until when she hugged him. There absolutely was. Was. Yeah. And don't get me started on the single leaf falling down as she sat by herself on the porch steps.
What do you mean don't get you started about it?
I think just saying it's very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got to see the journey that virtually every hero has to go through, doubting themselves and needing to get their confidence back. Had the season been a few more episodes, it would have been nice to see this extended over more than one episode, but there seems to be too much to do, so I'm good with it.
That and that it's only 13 episodes, so yeah.
Exactly.
I feel that sentiment, but yeah.
Exactly. Her lack of faith in herself, because she isn't Starman's daughter, not to mention her actual father is a creep, make her believe she's no longer worthy of the staff and the name. I really would love to learn some more about the staff. If not this season, it may be a full episode in season 2. That puppy deserves its own origin story.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Brainwave comes off as much more of a strictly evil character than Jordan at this point, but in no way do we need to see any redemption for him. 100% agree.
He's the true bad evil guy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. With all that still needs to be resolved, I can't believe there's only 2 episodes left, and I cannot wait for them. That scene with Courtney and the staff is what every hero needs. It had to come, and it was well done. I loved every second of it, wind and all.
Hey, yeah, he's noticing the same stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that too. My only negative, no action scenes. I'm a sucker for that stuff. Until next time, I give this episode 9.5 out of 10 strange indoor atmospheric disturbances. Comic Geek Kev.
Yes. Even sucker for the action, he still gives it a 9.5.
I know.
Yeah, this episode got the people.
It was good.
Surprising. All right, next up is an email from Carrie. The episode might have been called The Shining Knight, but this was truly Breck Basinger's episode, and she was great as Courtney Whitmore. You know,
yes.
Do you realize all the Lost references that we've been talking about? Whitmore is also the last name of a major player in Lost.
Ooh, it is.
Charles Whitmore.
It is.
Penny's dad. Yeah, that just hit me. Anyway. On with Carrie's email. I trust that you guys will delve into specific scenes, so I won't point them all out here, but there are 2 scenes where Breck just knocked it out of the park. First was the moment on the porch with Sam when she slowly realized that he was only there for the locket, a total scumbag move, by the way. The music, the quietness of that scene, seeing this little girl sit on the steps as this jerkhole of a dad walked away, it's just heart-wrenching. And her last line, "Sure thing, Sam," was basically the equivalent of F you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the very next scene is the best Pat and Courtney scene in the show. Pat says everything that needs to be said. Courtney doesn't say a word because she doesn't have to. They hug. She cries. If you didn't cry during that scene, we need to send a search party for your heart. You're a sappy guy like me, Carrie.
I cried too. It got me.
You even
both
broke
times.
Harley's cold heart.
That's right.
Man, I'm still emotionally raw typing this feedback 2 days later. Okay, let me move on. Well, hopefully our favorite scenes got you too, because that got me teared up. At the expense of drawing another Star Wars parallel to the show, I feel like this episode's message, that anyone can be the hero, was what they intended to do for Star Wars with The Last Jedi. Well, that was until Disney got a ton of backlash, which forced them to change course in The Rise of Skywalker and make Rey a Palpatine. Regardless of how one might feel about The Last Jedi, I loved it, by the way. The message that anyone can rise above their means and be the hero was truly inspirational and a great narrative. Yes, all of that we agree with you on. As for loving The Last Jedi, I do not agree with you on.
I liked The Last Jedi. I'm with you, Carrie. I don't know if I think love might be a little strong for me personally, but
they made Luke stupid, dumbed down, and a prankster. It's just dumb. No.
With Eric.
So when Courtney finally realized that it was her ambition, passion, bravery, and compassion that made her a hero, not her bloodline, that was a powerful moment for her character. And even though Courtney doesn't share Starman's bloodline, the show was still able to exhibit the importance of family, chosen or otherwise, when Courtney needed Barbara and Pat to be with her when she tried to activate the staff and break her through her crisis of confidence. And man, when that SOB lit up, it was truly a goosebump moment. I posted this on Facebook, but it parallels the scene from Transformers, the animated movie, when Rodimus Prime grabbed the Matrix of leadership. You got the touch! Yes, Carrie, I commented on that post. It did have that very same iconic moment. It truly is the rise of a hero, the hero coming from obscurity, coming from being broken down and not thinking they're good enough, to accepting that they are and rising up. That perfectly, I can't believe you pulled that Transformers one, because that's one of the most iconic moments in all of movie history, animated or not. So yeah, very, very cool. You've got the touch, you know. Anyway. Lots of tangents tonight. That's fun.
There's a lot.
When the Shining Knight said, "Our Queen has risen," I felt like I did back in 1986 when an ethereal Optimus Prime whispers, "Arise, Rodimus Prime." Optimus. Yeah! I still get chills just thinking about it. Yes, me too. Stray observations. Have you seen that movie, by the way? Transformers animated movie?
Nope.
Those moments, yeah. Epic.
This is the end of the road, Galvatron.
I was 2 in 1986.
Well, so watch it now. I still cry at those scenes. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. I was really impressed with Mark Ashworth's portrayal of Janitor Justin in this episode. We, as viewers, have not yet had the benefit of seeing and knowing what he's lost by having his memories wiped. But he did a magnificent job of showing the depths of his despair. Mm-hmm. You almost feel as though it would have been more merciful to kill him rather than strip away his memories and his purpose. Ashworth captured that perfectly. Yes, mm-hmm. I think you're right in line with what Patty Spivot was saying and some of our other feedbackers and what me and Harley were touching on. It just, yeah, he broke us down. Wow. Sam Kurtis further proved that if there's one theme the show has hammered home, it's this. Save for the Dugans. Every parent adult is a horrible human being. Yeah. The bad parent ranking goes like this. Number 1, Brainwave. Number 2 and 3, Yolanda's parents. Number 4, Rick's uncle. Number 5, Sam Kurtis. Number 6 and 7, Tigress and Sportsmaster. Numbers 8 and 9, Grandma and Grandpa Icicle. Number 10, Icicle. Numbers 11 and 12, Beth's parents. Yeah, I you know what? It's hilarious. Yolanda's parents, I forgot about them for a moment. Yeah, they're awful. Rick's uncle, yeah, he's a douchebag. Tigers and Sportsmaster, I wouldn't put them that high on this list. I think they're really taking care of their daughter. They're hard on her. They're making her train, but she's turning out to be a pretty good student and good sports athlete, all due because of them being strict with her. So I can't really disagree with that. I love that he included Grandma and Grandpa Icicle. That's pretty hilarious.
That is hilarious, but he's so true. I would put them above Sam. Goodness.
Yeah, and Icicle, I have to disagree. Icicle, he is who he is, but he's a really good dad because look at how Cameron has turned out. Icicle is a good dad. Bad guy stuff aside, I think he's a fantastic dad.
Yes, I do think he's a good dad.
So I wouldn't even have him.
From what we've seen.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have him on the list here. Best parents, they take it. totally take advantage of her. So it's funny. All right, here we go. Maybe it's just me, but Barbara seems to have accepted Courtney as Stargirl and Pat as Stripesy all a bit too easily. Yeah, is that because she knows more than we've seen? That's what I was touching on. There's more to her story.
I mean, there could be more to her story, but I also think this is also a symptom of 13 episodes. They don't have time for her to be pissed.
and maybe what Patty was touching on too, that she's just a mom that wants to help. She's got the mama bear thing going on and she wants to help. She has to accept it because no matter what, Courtney's going to go back in the fight, whether she says to or not. So
yeah, I definitely think she wants to help and protect the town and protect her people for sure.
Yeah. Okay, he goes on. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that she's on board Team Stargirl, but I just thought there'd be a bit more friction or adjustment period. Yeah, and that comes with me wondering why she didn't get so mad about the car accident and all that kind of stuff too. So, yeah. But then again, it shows that Courtney's heroism didn't come out of thin air. When confronted with the prospect of the Injustice Society's evil plan, Barbara jumps in with both feet to stop it. I think that shows exactly where Courtney gets her heroism from. I really like how Stargirl has shown that while our villains may have the same goals, they can still be conflicted. I really like the dynamic between Brainwave and Icicle. Neither of them are the mustache-twirling villain trope, so it's cool to see them work through their own issues. Pat is the hero the world needs, but not the one it deserves.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I give the episode 9.5 Matrix of Leadership moments out of 10. See you guys next week. Carrie, I love you, man. You got some good stuff.
Any sort of Dark Knight reference, I'm all over that.
Yes. All right. Next up is a voicemail from Dreamweaver.
Sorry. First time at the hall. I'm a little overwhelmed.
You're overwhelmed. Freeze was underwhelmed. Why isn't anyone ever just whelmed?
Yes. You were open last week about meeting anyone that's ever just been gruntled. Reminded me of this running joke from Young Justice, so I had to slip a clip in there.
That's why you need to watch Young Justice, Harley.
Let's get into this one. Can you believe that we're down to just 2 episodes already? And the next 2 are a 2-parter as well. Both are titled Stars and Stripe Part 1 and Part 2. And I'm not minding that there are only 13 episodes to this season. It doesn't feel dragged out, and this allows for much tighter storytelling, even if it does mean we have to spend less time with all the characters and in the world. Well, I'm glad to see that Barbara's fully on their side now and is just fully taking in all of the new revelations of superheroes and villains and mass brainwashing plans with a level head, even if she doesn't completely understand everything that is going on. And they're just struggling with what's safest for the family, but also what's best to keep the whole town safe at this point, too. And then enters Sam Kurtis. I knew that he was just going to end up to be a deadbeat jerk, but he really played his part well there for a bit so he could get the locket. Then Pat and Courtney's talk in the bedroom, Courtney's realization and then subsequent doubt of everything she's been doing in the name of Starman's legacy, that hurt. Even though she's putting too much blame on herself right now for everything, this is it. This is finally that realization that's grounding her and really growing her now that she's no longer denying reality instead of acting under this delusion of grandeur. Her giving up the locket even though she could tell he was never coming back was just so sad though. And then her just embracing Pat, man, that was a really great, emotionally heavy episode with all of the stuff with them. But it was definitely needed before all hell probably breaks loose in the next couple of episodes. And in my opinion, this has been Breck's best episode so far. Oh, yeah. I really, really like Courtney this episode. And then Pat punching Sam was just phenomenal. Luke Wilson has been fantastic this whole season, and I really love seeing the whole family starting to come together. Mike's got to be let in real soon, though, considering the ISA is after all of them now, and he has zero idea about any of it. Speaking of that, too, now that Jordan knows Courtney's Stargirl and Barbara knows about the ISA and the JSA, and even with what we saw at the end of the episode, I wonder if those doubts and second thoughts he's been having will come into this dynamic. Brainwave is kind of taking his spot as the merciless one, especially now that it does in fact seem his whole family is dead. Sniff. There's a part of me that thinks Icicle isn't getting out of this alive this season. I just feel like Cameron's being set up to become Icicle Jr. as a villain for season 2. No. And seeing his father die during the finale is going to cement that. This is just a theory, but it feels like this is the track that they're heading down. And then Justin really got to shine, although heartbreakingly, this episode too. He could tell he was lost. He could just tell he wasn't who he was supposed to be. And I really love the scene where Pat is asking him to tell the story of how he got the sword to try to help him with his memories. And then when he saw the striped suit and called it a piece of armor. And I do not think this was intentional at all, but it may be because my brain was already thinking about Excalibur. But during that scene, there's an engine suspended behind Justin and a T-pipe that's sticking up from the side of it, and it just super looked like the Sword in the Stone. I'll post a picture in the group to show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't get that image out of my head, the whole scene. And then for those that only watch on the CW, there's a scene that gets cut out versus if you watch it on the DC Universe app.
What?
It's Justin hallucinating seeing one of Dragon King's drone in the mirror of the janitor's closet at the school, and then he sees an advert for the pit stop with Pat on it, and he realizes that's where he needs to go. And he grabs Excalibur from the mop bucket during that time. This little scene just gives a bit more insight into his hallucinations before he shows up at the garage, and it gives the hint that he lost his memories due to Dragon King's meddling. Which, I'm wondering something about that. Seeing the cosmic staff helped jog his memory. Maybe because he recognized it from before? But what if in a way it actually physically did help his memories? Courtney blasting Brainwave with the staff way back in the second episode took away his memories. If the ISA managed to turn on their machine, what if the staff is the key to stopping it, to undoing the brainwashing? Just speculating here because I really don't know what they're going to do with all of this. And then I had to save this scene to talk about last, when Courtney is trying to get the staff to work again and she asked Pat and Barbara to do it with her. That was it. That was the turning point moment for her, and that scene honestly gave me some chills. Courtney's faced the truth of her father, there's no secrets from her mother, she's finally accepted Pat fully as a father figure, and has now understood that the staff chose her. Sometimes those "you have to believe in yourself" scenes can be a bit hokey or poorly written in movies and TVs, but this one was not one of those. And Justin adding in the "our queen has risen," that was just awesome. And that one scene actually gave me hope that the JSA can win. So good. Can't wait to see where it goes from here. Alright, that's all for now. So until next time, your friend, Dreamweaver.
Awesome thoughts as always, Dreamweaver. Good stuff, good things that you're pulling out of there. I want to touch on a couple of them. The scene that I didn't talk about was Justin seeing the robot and saying, he said something along the lines like, now that's a suit of armor.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty funny because he has no idea what a robot is, so that was pretty cool. And then her idea about the staff undoing the memory loss on him, that's a fascinating idea because we saw the fight in the parking lot with Brainwave and Courtney. When she blasted it, she touched the staff to his head, and it was for quite a long period of time, and that threw him in a coma and made him lose his memory for a little while. It's a very plausible idea that she could do the same thing. And the staff, being a sentient being, knows that it's not trying to harm, and maybe it can also heal.
Maybe. That would be really interesting. We'll have to see where they go with him and how much of his memory they can restore and what, truly happens. I'm very intrigued by this character.
Yeah. I'm curious. But and hopefully Dreamweaver liked the scenes that we picked because she talked about each one that we played. So
she did, yeah.
Awesome stuff. All right, next up is, we got lots of voicemails this week. This is awesome. I love just listening to all you guys' voices. So
I know, it's great. It's a nice little break.
Yeah. So next up is a voicemail from Allie, and I'm wondering, she's been talking about picking a superhero name, so we'll wonder if she's chosen one. But there's a little disclaimer attached to this voicemail from Lisa, and Lisa says she wants to claim that she has not let Allie see all the Wolverine movies, especially Logan. So I'm guessing she says something about the Wolverine movies in this feedback. Let's find out.
Hello, this is Allie calling in. So I finally figured out my superhero name. I'm in love with the Wolverine movies and the X-Men movies because Wolverine is the best, but I can't be Wolverine because I'm not a guy. So I thought I could be, drum roll please, X-23.
Woo, X-23.
So that is my superhero name.
Very cool.
All right.
Okay, so last episode was a lot to take in. So first off, Courtney's dad just shows up out of the blue and asks for her locket. Excuse me. I thought that he was going to be Courtney's dad. I thought he was good, but, well, of course he's Courtney's dad, but I thought he was going to be Starman. And I was like freaking out for a second because I thought he was going to train her how to do things and it was going to be super exciting. But then he's not. He's just a big old jerk. Everyone took Henry's death pretty hard, and Courtney was questioning her life and her life choices, and the team is mourning poor Henry. I was going to call him Brainwave Jr. because I thought that's cool, but that happened. So, in Icicle and Brainwave, I think Icicle liked Barbara, and then he looked through her computer. He wanted her to live, but then he figured out that she knows. And when the staff wasn't working, I was afraid that they were just gonna bust through the basement door and get them all because Courtney couldn't use the staff.
That would have been scary.
That was a good lesson that you should always believe in yourself, no matter what and who your parents or who people you know are. So, thank you for listening. I can't wait for the next Stargirl episode. Ba-da-da-da. Signing off.
All right, X23 it is. Boy, I'm wondering about you. Should I be worried, living here because X23, Shiv, these are the characters you're relating to?
I might be a little worried if I read them.
I'm getting surrounded by villainesses here. I don't know.
That's right.
So, good feedback there, X23. Awesome. I am so glad that you picked up on the believe in yourself message that the show portrayed, because for you being a young viewer and, Courtney's just a couple years older than you, so you being able to relate to that and understand what they're trying to tell you, I think is very empowering for any young viewers to see this and realize that, it doesn't matter where I've come from, who my family is, what I've gone through. I have to believe in myself first before anyone else, before anything else. I'm not going to be able to succeed and rise up unless it comes from me, from within first.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So great. And, it's great. I would love, this is our youngest feedbacker yet. I would love if you guys out there, this is a family show. We try to keep it as family oriented as we can. I know we slip on occasion, but I'm sure families are enjoying Stargirl together. If you guys have other young members that would love to be part of the show and get their feedback in, by all means, it'd be fun to have more younger perspectives too, to see what else they're connecting to.
Yeah, exactly. I'm interested to see what the younger viewers are kind of picking up on, since they're supposed to be maybe relating to these stories maybe a little bit more than we are. So. Yeah,
exactly. All right, last up, and I'm going to give this a little caveat here. Poor Bianca is not officially truly last. But she did slip up. She kind of dropped the baton. She sent us an email that had nothing attached to it. So I had to respond to her saying, hey, we need your feedback quick. We're recording now. And she had to resend it while we were starting the show. So truly she's the final feedbacker for tonight. Not by any fault of her own. Here it is.
Hey, Flash and Harley, it's Bianca. My feedback for season 1, episode 11. This episode, so much fallout from last week, from what Brainwave told Jordan. I'm pretty sure Henry is officially dead. Now, that's not to say when they move to the CW, they don't do some finagling and bring him back, maybe as, one of Ito's experiments or something, but as of right now, I think he's officially dead. And honestly, I hope it stays that way. There's too many people coming back from the dead on our other, CW superhero shows, and I'd like the deaths here on this show to actually mean something and have consequences and fallout. So if the CW decides to backtrack that, I'm going to be rather disappointed.
Yeah.
The part where we see Sam Kurtis, Courtney's actual biological father, his DNA donor, because he's not a dad, he's not a father. He donated the DNA. That's it. It's a jerk. And I felt so bad for Courtney. She was right to be skeptical at the beginning. You know, she hadn't seen this man for 10 years. And he shows up, says, hey, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him, and she probably couldn't throw him that far by herself anyway. But, yeah, towards the end, when they came back to the house, she saw it coming from a mile away. And I think she kept the locket out of hope that one day, you know, the father she wanted would come back. And unfortunately, that was nothing close to what she probably would have wanted. Someone to be her dad, not this low-life jerk. And I was so happy and elated that Pat decked him in the middle of the street. God deserved it. Let's hope we never, ever have to see him again. Unless he comes in back as like a villain or something. But for now, I don't need to see him anymore. He brought enough extra drama in the episode. Thank you very much. And Mike, this episode, poor kid almost cried. You know, he wants to know what he did wrong, and nothing is his fault. He's just the unfortunate bystander of everything that's going on around him. And if he doesn't find out what's going on by the end of the season, I think I might have serious issues with that. It's not fair to him that he doesn't know, and it's just not right. It needs to happen. He needs to be let in on the secret, at least, like Barb. I did like the fact that we saw, or heard, I should say, that Yolanda went to church to pray for Henry. I'm sure she probably didn't get any sympathy or support from her parents, you know, that this boy is dead. She probably didn't even tell them that he was the one who did this to her. But, yeah, I'm kind of glad she, you know, for her, I can tell, you know, her faith is important to her, so I was glad to see that. And the part with Justin, if you didn't see the DCU version, after he gets back from the horse farm and he goes back to the school, he goes back to his, you know, janitor's closet and splashes his face and tries to clean up, and he sees one of, like, Ito's drone minions in the mirror in the reflection. So I'm pretty sure that Ito captured him back when Justin was tracking him all those years ago and tortured him and messed with his mind. So that's why he's not quite right and can't remember everything. And his scenes with Pat in the garage were very moving. Yeah, feel for the guy. Heck, I want to cry right now because it's so sad. Hopefully his memories will come back. Maybe there's something the staff can do. Who knows? We'll see. Or maybe we'll have a new Dr. Fate somewhere down the line that can help restore his memories. There's always hope for that. But all this stuff with poor Pat had just, you know, one thing after another. So he's the MVP of this episode. You know, the fact that Courtney went to him after her DNA donor left was very moving. I can understand how stressful and emotional that was for her. I lost my dad when I was 16, 17. And so, you know, I have a stepdad as well, and I can understand how hard it was for her, and that she accepts and loves probably him just as much as she would her actual father. So that was a great scene to see. And when she finally accepted who she is, and that the staff chose her because of who she is, not because of the fact that she could have been Starman's daughter. No. The staff chose her, Courtney, for all that she is, and she finally accepted that, and she wanted her mom and Pat there. And I think that truly helped her just accept her hero's journey fully. So there's no more of this, you know, for my dad thing that was her initial drive. Just the fact that now she knows it's the right thing to do. It's what she deeply feels is right. So I'm loving it. It's a really good acceptance of your hero's journey that they showed us. I loved it. It was great. And then the little stinger at the end where we see Jordan make up his mind about Barbara and having Brainwave take out her and the entire family. Yeah, Brainwave needs to go. He's too dangerous. He probably would have given Jordan a aneurysm, whatever. Probably would have taken him out too. And the countdown clock looks like it's hours, so we've got, less than 13 hours. It's like 12 hours and so many minutes left. So I wonder if they'll split that up in between the last 2 episodes we get. And yeah, it's just crazy. And I'm really looking forward to next week. I almost, but I don't think it's going to happen. I almost considered not watching next week and just watching them both back to back. I don't think I can do it. It's too much, and I can't stand it. That's just too long to not hang out with you guys in the group. So that's that. I'll end this here for now. And my rating for this week is 8.75 shiny, bright, cosmic staffs. See you guys next week. Bye.
Awesome stuff, Bianca. So, I wonder what would give her a 9 in the 9.5 range of an episode. I wonder what she needs, because she's never rated that high.
I don't know. I think you'll have to let us know.
Yeah, what would make it a near perfect episode for you? So she also had a lot of thoughts. You guys with these awesome long voicemails, I'm trying to take notes so I don't forget everything you guys talked about. I wanted to touch on, it's come up a couple times now about keeping the death of Henry Jr. permanent. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to want that, but it's what the show needs to be able to keep it legit and keep consequences in play. Because if everybody can just come back to life, then like another feedbacker said, death becomes cheap, and you need to have consequence and risk, and there's reasons that these things are happening and reasons that you're putting your life on the line. It'd just be silly if everyone knows they can come back. Then, so yeah, I like that she brought that up as well. And then she was talking about how Courtney sees, she only remembers her dad from when she was little, when she was 3 or 4, and she kept this present all these years. And, when he comes back, she still had those thoughts like, my dad's this great guy. Oh my God. And he doesn't live up to what she remembers. And that's such a big thing with kids. Like all little kids see their dad as a hero. And, unless your dad's an abusive jerk right from the get-go. But I mean, most kids see their dad as a hero. That's their first hero figure. And it's not until they grow up and they can start understanding things about life and understanding the things that they're seeing and where they're going to start to see the truth. Mm-hmm. And I think that Courtney's at that point now. Now she finally she sees what her dad's really like, and she can understand it because she's old enough now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's hard, especially when the youngest that she was like 4, really, when she last saw her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big difference.
Now, here's a question. Should Mike be brought in? Everyone's touched on it, but Bianca really got into it about it not being fair to him. He's the only one in the family that doesn't know. Should he be brought in to just know about what's going on, or should he be brought in to be part of the team? What do you feel about all that?
I mean, I've had the theory that he's going to get the pink pen and have the, and that's how he's going to be part of the team. I have had that theory for a while.
But I want to know what you feel about it. How far involved should he get?
How far? I mean, I think they should at the least clue him in. I mean, it's at some point, yeah. I mean, it would be fun if he became a hero, just to kind of get the whole family involved. But I don't know that it necessarily has to like be that way, because Barbara's not. And I mean, she's like involved, but she's kind of doing like her detective like thing, but she's not, like necessarily a superhero per se. So I don't know. It's been kind of interesting. I think he should know about stuff. I'd be happy with that.
I think let him in so he knows, so he does, because right now he's feeling pretty left out. He's feeling out of the loop and everything, and everyone's kind of just forgetting about him. So that part I feel for him. Yeah, let him in so he knows, and it'll make a good connection for him and Courtney too, because now he gets to look up to his new sister. Holy, my sister's a superhero! How cool is that? Like,
yeah,
that would totally help them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really want him becoming part of the team. I think that'd be too much for me. But, and I don't want Barbara getting superpowers either, because I don't, the whole family doesn't have the superpowers. Go watch the old TV show, No Ordinary Family, if you want to watch a superhero TV show where the whole family has superpowers. That, that fills that gap. Now, the other thing she brought up, the last thing I want to mention here is about Dr. Ito capturing Justin. A few people have brought that up now. So that seems to be the reigning theory, that this is what has happened to Justin, that he got experimented on, or Dr. Ito did something to him. Yeah. And can the staff help? That's twice now that's come up. So that's a good idea, good theory, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good theory our listeners have brought up. So that'll be cool. We'll have to see where it goes.
Well, awesome. As always, guys, this was a fantastic night for feedback. I was wondering how people were going to feel about this episode, and boy, oh boy, everyone rated it high. Everyone loved it. And again, it's shocking because the episode had nothing in it really, and yet it was done so well. So
it was done well.
Very, very cool. Awesome thoughts, everybody. For the rest of you that still haven't sent in feedback, we really want you to join the team, and then our show will now become half feedback, and we don't have to talk so much.
Even though we probably will.
This is what you got to do, guys.
If you would like to be part of the show, you can send in feedback to tomorrowslegends@gmail.com, spelled with one R. You can also reach us on Twitter at tomorrowslegends, also with one R. Join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
And we are wrapping up this emotional roller coaster.
Yes, it was a very emotional episode, but it was very well done.
Yeah, very well done, very well done. So what are they going to have for us for the two-part finale? I can't imagine. I'm looking at how good the writers have put a season of 13 episodes together. There's got to be something just huge. And is it going to be a cliffhanger? Is it going to be emotionally distraught? Are we all going to need a box of Kleenex? Like, what's coming? I'm excited, but I'm also a little bit worried because, boy, it's going to hit us hard, I think.
I think so, too. I'm excited for big battles. That's my prediction of what's coming.
Which is maybe why we didn't have fights this episode. They were saving it for the last two. It's got to be a big battle. But can our team stand up to the adult villains yet? Are they strong enough?
I don't know. I guess it's time to find out.
Yeah, because I'm just unsure about that. I don't know. I think the bad guy villain, especially just Icicle and Brainwave alone, could do it.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see.
It will be. All right, guys. Well, 1 week away from the start of the finale. I can't wait to get to it. Can't wait to hear what all you guys think. We'll see you next week. Have a good weekend, everybody. This is The Flash signing off.
And this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.
We really want you to join the team, and then our show will now become half feedback, and we don't have to talk so much.
Even though we probably will.
This is what you got to do, guys.
Hey, Flash and Harley, it's Bianca.
That's not what you got to do. Behind this. All right, let's try this one.
Hello.
What is going on here? Let me write a pause in here.